Yeah, I'm joined tonight by my colleagues Joy and Daniel, who are amazing. My name is Karianna Freeland, and I'm your new Student Enrollment Coordinator. I'm actually going through sort of a transitionary phase, just like you all. I just started in this role about 5 months ago, so this is kind of new to me. I'm kind of getting my footing a little bit, starting to get there, but I'm in on the journey with you as well, learning things as I go. So. It's nice to have you all here, and I'm excited to support you as you start your program. It's really my job to make sure you feel welcomed and ready to enroll in classes. So um, I apologize if I've been bugging you a little bit with emails and reminders to kind of get things done, but that's me for sure, and I'm your point person. So I'm actually going to have Daniel introduce himself next.
Hi everyone. It's really good to see everyone here this evening, and all the representation that we have from new students coming into WSU Global. Super excited to meet you all. My name is Daniel Thurman. I'm kind of transitioning actually myself into a new role. So I have a new title as of today, which is kind of interesting. So I'm the Director of Student Success and Organizational Effectiveness. And so I kind of see across the board students and employees here at Global Campus trying to keep a very consistent environment. And we're really focused right now on belonging. So hopefully that comes through on a lot of what we're doing to engage with you all right now. And hopefully you feel that your entire time here at Global Campus. But yeah, we're going to be talking a lot about some interesting things today. One of the things I think that's going to be most important that I'd love for all of you to ground yourself in as you're thinking about the information that is going to be coming at you tonight and things we're asking for you to engage with is thinking about your why, right? Like thinking about your personal why. So now why anyone else is here, now why everyone says to go back to school, why are you here? And that why is going to be so important with what we're going to be talking about and what we're going to be hopefully helping you focus on as you're moving from one stage of your life into another stage, making that really personalized for you, what it means to you. And that why is going to be so important. That why might change during your time here as a student, but it's going to be so important that you honor that, that you think about it, that you use it as kind of a beacon, because that why is going to be what really helps guide you when things get challenging or tough or confusing or maybe not the way that you had planned. And so just kind of keeping that at the center focus and really making this about you and your motivation and your drive. And we'll share a little bit probably about our stories too in that in our time together, but really excited to meet all of you and have you with us this evening.
Thank you so much, Daniel. We love having Daniel here with us. I always get chills every time he speaks, so I think you all are going to experience that same thing because he's just so motivational, and just really easy to talk to and listen to. And we also have my colleague Joy here as well. So, Joy, did you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hello, everybody. I am the Assistant Vice Chancellor for Enrollment Management. And unlike my other two colleagues, I've actually been at WSU for 21 years now. So been around for a while, but I'm in the chat. So if you have questions about anything, you can throw them in there and I'm happy to answer it. I've been here for a long time, so can help with a lot of different questions just because of my tenure at WSU.
Yeah, and that's so right. We love having Joy here because she knows everything. So when you throw out a question, she's just going to know it. So feel free. Anything that's popping up for you, just throw that in the chat. And we'll also have time at the end for questions as well. So really supposed to be a really interactive session where you feel comfortable, start to feel a little more connected to the staff and your peers here. So we'll go ahead and get started. So the agenda, this is what we're going to be covering tonight. So we are actually going to talk, we did the welcome, we're going to do more of a welcome and introduction, but then we're going to talk about a couple of psychology terms. So rite of passage, liminal phase, how to prepare for success, and then reflection and resources. So just connecting all of this back to Daniel's point. So your why for why you're pursuing this is important. Learning and research should always be connected back to your lens, your life, and your experiences. So as you're listening to this presentation, just know that everybody's going to take this presentation just a little bit differently because you all experience different things in your life. So just take what fits and leave what doesn't is what I would say for this presentation. And just remember that the diversity of everybody in this room is what makes us strong. So just know, like I said, you might interpret things a little bit differently, and that's good. Bringing different things to the table is always a good thing. And I think Daniel has an engagement activity for us.
I do. It's going to be one of many. So, there's going to be no, I don't think there's going to be any breakout rooms or anything like that tonight. So, you're all welcome to engage in as much or as little as you want to. If you have any questions, you're welcome to chime in, raise your hand, put them in the chat. And there's going to be several questions that we pose to all of you that will either have you maybe take a poll or put responses in the chat. If you want to come off mute and share your experience, you're welcome to do that. And I just encourage you all that if you're someone that normally doesn't do that, to maybe lean into that a little bit while we're together. One, because it really does help other folks feel that maybe other people relate to them. So it's really helpful for more people to share their experiences because part of why we're all here is to make connections, even if they're not maybe direct, but it is to be part of a community. And you're all going to have to start getting more and more used to that as being university students. So this is a good practice session, so lean into that. So I'm going to give you an easy one. I think. First question that we're going to have for you to answer is we're going to be talking a lot about, as Karianna mentioned, the liminal phase. That might be a new term for some of you. Some of you may know that. We might have some psychology students in the room. But I would love to hear that, what you all are thinking about as far as what is the liminal phase or the words rite of passage mean to you. So without Googling it, give us your best guesses on what those terms might mean.
Don't ask ChatGPT. Don't do it.
I can't just say Googling anymore, right? I have to say AI,
Siri, Siri's
right?
listening right now. Siri just turned on my phone.
And you're welcome to put that in the chat.
Oh my gosh, somebody agreed with me. Because like Avatar is the first thing that I think of when I think of like rite of passage. So I appreciate that.
And that's okay. Maybe we've stumped the audience. So that's going to be interesting, right? It'll be interesting. Transition. Yeah, totally. Yep. Yeah, a rite of passage, like you're going through a passage of some kind, right? So you're transitioning from one thing to the next.
Okay. Um, let's see. Okay. Yeah, did you oh, there we go. We're starting to get more responses there, Danielle.
Okay.
Uh,
That everyone has their own passage. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. Rite of passage, an essential event in everyone's lives to evolve into their next stage of life. Yeah. So did like a significant stage transition. Um, absolutely. Yeah. New chapter. hmm Yeah. So yeah, I think a lot of folks are probably familiar with rite of passage. It's definitely a theme that is universal in kind of human society. Liminal phase, maybe not so much, but we'll cover that in great detail in just a little bit. But we're gonna move on and just kind of pause on this for a second because we want to open it up to all of you. And we are very curious to know who's in the room with us. So if you don't mind sharing in the chat, we would love to be able to do some just basic introductions through chat. So if you want to introduce yourself, a couple of things that we would love to know is your name, your major, location, and how you're feeling about starting school. And it could be positive, negative, whatever, it could be multiple things, it could be one thing. But just putting those things out there, that helps us really know who we're working with and how we can help tailor the session tonight. And it also helps all of your peers in the room to maybe make some connections.
and Daniel, where are you coming from?
I am in Michigan, so I am Midwest. I am in the I relocated from Detroit 2 years ago, and now I'm in the Upper Peninsula. So I don't know if anyone's familiar with this region, but the Upper Peninsula often gets lost. So right on the coast of Lake Superior, it's a really beautiful, beautiful location, but very misunderstood, even in Michigan.
For
And Kariana, where are
sure.
you at?
I'm actually in Spokane, Washington. So I know we had a lot of Washington folks on the call. I think it was kind of split pretty evenly between like the west side and the east side. So shout out to Spokane and shout out to the west side of Washington as well.
Mm.
It looks like we're getting quite a few responses. So we have accounting in the house. We have history from Blaine, Washington. Bonnie Lake, Washington, social sciences. Awesome. Oh, Spokane, Washington. There you go. Um, we have accountancy. Excited to start class from Washington. Oh, Phoenix. My grandma lives in Phoenix.
Mhm.
It's pretty cheap because I think there's like a direct flight from like Spokane to Phoenix. So that's always fun to visit her. Ellensburg, Washington. So we have Central Washington there. Human development and transfer student from Yakima Valley College. Awesome. And then we have Spencer, who's from San Diego. And I think he mentioned that in the chat earlier. My brother just moved to California, but kind of more um, Bay Area. History. We've got Kadra in Marysville, Washington, studying economics. We've got Amanda from Washougal, Washington State. We got psychology in the house. That was my undergrad degree. Let's see, Bremerton, Washington, very nice psychology major as well. 3 semesters left, so you're really close. That's awesome. San Diego. Yeah. Oh, Joy, Joy's like San Diego. Joy's really excited about San Diego. We've got Amy living in Seattle. Seattle's always fun. BA in anthropology.
Mhm.
Let's see, Chicago, Illinois. I want to go to Chicago really bad because Derrick Rose is retiring his jersey this year. And so I was always a big Derrick Rose fan. So always
And it's
wanted to go,
some
but never made it.
of the best house music in the country too, after Detroit
Oh, and the pizza, right?
and the pizza.
We got Walla Walla, Washington in the house. Very cool. Well, thank you so
Uh,
much, everybody. It's been great to hear about where you guys are coming from. We got a few more responses coming in actually too. Richland, Washington, so Tri-Cities. Bachelor's in psychology. Very cool. All right. If you didn't get to put your response in the chat, keep putting them in. We love to hear where you guys are coming from, what you're studying. We just love to get to know you all. So, like I said, very informal, very relational session. So just always put comments, questions, anything in the chat, and we love it. All right. And I think we have another engagement activity as well. Is that right, Daniel? I think we just have one asking about kind of where folks are in their journey with WSU Global. So the way things are here is like you're kind of in different onboarding buckets. So let me just share the question here and you guys can kind of see what I'm talking about. Can you all see my poll? Can you all see that?
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So, some students maybe just confirmed their spot in the program and they haven't really had a chance to do much else other than that because it's so new. Or maybe you started orientation, but you haven't had a chance to complete it yet. Maybe you completed orientation, but you haven't met with your advisor yet. Or maybe you already met with your advisor, but you haven't registered yet. Or maybe you've done all of those things and you're already enrolled, which is all of those things are awesome and great. And there's different stages and timing, so don't feel like um, you're behind if you haven't done a certain thing because we'll definitely get you there. All right, looks like we've got most people have done the poll, so 12 out of 15, which is great. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a couple more seconds here for any other people who want to respond. And then we'll go ahead and and the poll and we'll just share. So there's quite it's a diversity of folks in their stages of where they're at with starting. So some people just confirmed. Most of the people have completed orientation, but they're waiting to meet with their advisor. And then after you meet with your advisor, you'll be ready to register. So awesome. There's a good chunk of folks who are already registered as well. So thank you so much for that. All right, so let's see what's next here. I think next we are going to turn it over to Daniel for rite of passage.
Mhm. Thanks, Karianna. And thanks everyone for sharing a little bit about themselves. That always helps. It's always nice to be in a room and get cozy with everyone. So thanks for that. So yeah, one of the things that we, as Karianna and I were talking about, really this moment in many students' life, right? Like it's pretty significant what's happening, and we started to talk a lot about how it is that doesn't only mirror, but is an actual rite of passage, right? Like a pretty significant, many of you said this in the chat, like a pretty significant transition in your life. Very, very significant, right? Where you're going from one identity to the next. And this is something that's a repeating process. My guess is that all of you have gone through this at some point in your life prior, probably multiple times. It might have looked different each time or been very unique, but maybe had some similar feelings to it. And there's a lot that we actually know about these moments and these stages in life. And so we're going to actually pair up a lot of what you're going to learn about how you can move through this at Washington State Global with what this looks like in general. So some of you I saw are social science majors, anthropology. So those of you that are kind of in that camp will probably know this really well. This might be new to some of you. But it is, I think, important to think about this moment as something similar to maybe when you left home for the first time if you've moved out of your parents' home, or maybe the first time that you had your own kids. Maybe some of you are empty nesters and just had college students of your own that have moved out and moved on. Um, Maybe you've gotten married and that's been a pretty significant change in your life, right? There's all these moments that signal a particular shift, and that can bring up so many different feelings, good and bad feelings. They can be complex, they can be stressful, and we're going to talk a little bit more about how that plays out and how it'll maybe play out in this scenario, and how we think we can help and support you through this process and really root you on. So we just wanted to kind of pause on this, make sure everyone's kind of on the same page with rite of passage, and then we're going to get into a little bit more detail in just a little bit. But I'm going to turn it over now to Kariana, who has another engagement activity for us.
Yeah, so just reading some of these transitions, I'm thinking to myself, like maybe I have a couple of these going on. So can I get a thumbs up if you're experiencing maybe one of these transitions or rites of passages? Maybe in the chat, or um, you can do the emoji react as well. Yeah, I'm starting to get some thumbs up. Sounds like a lot of people might be going through some of these different things that you're entering. And everybody should be putting their thumbs up because y'all are starting school too. So um, let's see. Can anybody maybe share in the chat if you want to, if you're experiencing maybe one or more and kind of what you're experiencing? It's often like we have a lot of commonalities, so I'm just interested to see if maybe there's people that share maybe some transitions that they're both going through at the same time. Just started a new job. Hey, Daniel. New job and starting school. There you go. First two already match. There's so much that comes with starting a new job. Like, it's so good for you, but it is like, I don't know, you feel like a newbie for for a little bit. Um, yeah, I just did that 5 months ago, so
Mhm. And it probably still
let's
feels
see.
new. And a new
Yeah, it
baby.
still feels new.
Oh, congratulations, Ben. That's awesome. That's super exciting.
Oh,
Just bought my first house and just got married. Cadra,
oh,
yeah.
congratulations. That's awesome.
Recently moved to Chicago. So William, that's our Chicago folk there. Oh, Boys Town. Yeah, yeah. Some of the best music in all of Chicago is in Boys Town. So just to note that.
Mhm.
Relocated, started a new job. Oh, I'm sorry to hear, Brittany. Okay. Thinking
Super
about
proud.
you. Hmm, that's tough.
Moved here from England, active duty military. How was that? That's exciting.
Hmm. So a lot of folks going through some changes, even on
Yep.
top of starting school. So yeah, it's a lot going
Yep.
on. Thank you for sharing.
New job also, doing full-time after I graduate. Got a new puppy. Oh, I'm probably gonna get a new puppy too soon. So good. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing, y'all. Let's see. I think Daniel has the next slide for us.
Yes, I do. So when we're talking about rite of passage, we wanted to help you all understand a little bit about what that might be feeling like. And so what's really great is that you're probably going to be able to apply a lot of this thinking to not only this experience with starting school, but a lot of the other things that you're going through as well, which can be really challenging because it can be a sense of overwhelm, even if it's like full excitement. There definitely tends to be a lot of increased energy, right? A lot of additional focus that you haven't had to have before, a lot of things that are changing and moving, and that just requires a different set of skill, a different set of energy, and it might become imbalanced from what you're used to. And so all those things can just play on you and can be challenging. But I think once you start to understand what's going on and you can kind of create containers for those different experiences that you might have through it. I think it should help support you in at least recognizing what's happening and realizing it's a very natural part of this process. And there are things that you can do to help overcome it or to just, move through it. And so we're going to name a couple of these things, talk about them just a little bit, and then we'll start to get into a little bit more nuts and bolts about WSU and how you can start to interact with some forward movement here. But first, we want to start a little bit with the three stages of rite of passage. Not going to spend too much time on any of these. We are going to go back to the second one, the transition, the liminality, in just a minute. But I want to give you the three hallmarks, right? I'm guessing they're going to sound familiar to you. And the first is separation, where you are moving from one identity or one role that has probably either been familiar, constant, comfortable for you, but maybe not completely fulfilling, which is hopefully why you are where you're at in a moment where you're going through a transition, or you're going through a rite of passage, right? Where you're saying it's time for growth. It's time to move from this to something unknown because we believe that in the unknown, there's something that we're reaching or striving for. And so that separation, before you actually get to that place that you are imagining, before you realize it, you have to give up something. You have to walk away. You have to become uncomfortable and start to detach from something, which can cause a lot of stress. And it's oftentimes one of the reasons, probably one of the most common reasons that folks don't take that step to make the change, right? So a lot of folks want to do something different. They want to reach, they want to grow, but then come short or don't do it or get to this moment and it's too uncomfortable and then they back away. And sometimes that's okay. Sometimes that's feedback that you're not quite ready, but sometimes it's feedback that we don't always as humans do discomfort well. Sometimes, and most of the time, we think, oh, if it's something that's uncomfortable, it must be negative, it must be bad. And in fact, with growth, it's the opposite. When we get to discomfort, when we get to stretch, that is often a really great signal that we're doing something right. That's when we go into growth. So just think about that, right? That moment of transition where you're separating out of something that's unknown can feel scary, can feel uncomfortable, but just try to pay attention to that and lean into it more than you lean out, right? And then you're going to move into the transition period, the in between, leaving something behind, moving into something that's new. But that in between can be really tricky, right? So that's the in between. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. And then finally, the exciting piece, the incorporation. When we start to actually, the thing that we've been imagining, we start to realize it becomes real to us that the things that we've been thinking about, we are applying in life, and they're somehow now starting to become part of our life. We are incorporating them into our world, which is really, really exciting. That's oftentimes when we can start to feel the excitement and the rush, and we recognize what I'm going to call self-efficacy, which if you don't know that term, I'm going to go back to it in just a little bit. So remember that. But the incorporation piece. And so when we go through a rite of passage, you can expect to experience these three stages. And it doesn't mean that they're always linear. Sometimes they're spiralic, like this, right? Sometimes you go, and sometimes you come back, and sometimes you feel like you've incorporated, but now you're all the way back at separation again. But those three different components are part of that experience, and they're very, very normal. And so I think knowing them, being able to name them and recognize them is helpful to just maybe have a little bit of comfort when you do feel like you're experiencing them and they might be uncomfortable. So if we go back to that middle piece, right? The middle liminal phase. And if you've never heard this term before, my guess is that you will hear it a lot now because it's actually around quite a bit. And when you start to pay attention, I think you'll hear it and you'll see liminal a lot more in your life, and you'll see it in life in general. But liminal actually in its Latin roots comes from threshold or in between. And if you can imagine that you are maybe crossing a bridge, right? And one side of the bridge is a life that you are, maybe not a whole life, a role, a piece of your identity that you are walking away from, and you're having to cross over this bridge to get to the other side. And maybe that bridge is like, God, they used to call it like a grandmother bridge. I feel like there's a certain term for these bridges that are just like rickety on ropes, and you put a foot on and it just starts to swing and it feels all crazy. Like oftentimes liminal to me feels that way, where I'm just like, holy crap, am I going to get to the other side? Should I be doing this? Is this safe enough? Uh, and I'm going to say most of the time, yes. I've never fallen off of a bridge. A bridge has never crashed on me, luckily. They're usually built quite well. They cross over many people. So having a little bit of trust in that transition from one side to the next is important, but we often do kind of get to that moment where we start to grip. Um, we are excited about the next, but then there's those moments where we're just like, oh, wait a second, this just feels too weird. What if I can't do it? What if I get to the other side and it's terrible? Can I go back? Um, what if I didn't pack enough clothes with me, right? What if I don't have enough money to do this? What if I can't hold a full-time job and do this? All these doubts will start to creep in, usually in this moment. So this liminal phase in life is quite important to just have awareness around, because it is oftentimes the place where we've started and then we start to question. And I want you all just to be very, very mindful of this, and not only this moment with you going back to school and starting to go to a university and moving towards some major goal of yours, whether it's for a career or it's for a purpose, if it's for financial security, if it's for you, if it's for your family. These things are big. They're momentous. They carry a lot of weight and gravity and emotion with them. And so it makes a lot of sense that when you are taking some type of a leap and a risk like this, that these things are going to come up. And I just want to say to you that this is so normal, right? It is so normal. Like I understand, and I'm hoping that all of you are kind of on the same page with me on this, but when I was younger, I had a challenging upbringing. I was a high school dropout at 18 years old with like 2 months to go in high school, and I didn't have school in my background until I was 28, because it was a very, very hard experience to go through, that I finally realized that going back to school was going to be one of the keys for me to change my life. And it did. And it's why I ended up staying in education. And it's why I work with students to this day. I believe in the power of what you all are doing. And I think that you all believe in that too. For all the reasons that all of you have coming into this, this is significant. And so the risk feels significant. So if you feel this, if you're getting to this point where you're just like, I just don't know. Like I saw someone chime in a little while ago and say, like, I hope this is going to be okay. I'm work full time and I hope I can do this. And someone just had a child, and someone just moved into a new location, and all of you are going through these other significant transitions in life. And here's this big thing too. You can do it. What it looks like, how you do it, what order you do it. If you want to do it, I promise you, you will do it. And there's enough help and support for you here for you to do it. So if you feel this, know that it's normal. Try to name it, come back to this, recognize that this will pass, and that there are absolutely things that you're able to do to be able to move through this with more comfort, more ease, and more power that you have to actually decrease the negative feelings that might come in this experience. I'll have you go to the next slide, Karianna, whenever you're ready.
Well, and I think we actually have an engagement activity real quick too. After hearing all that, I feel whenever I hear Daniel speak, I feel like I can do anything. So, the next engagement activity is, let me find it real quick. Um, there's a lot of feelings that Daniel just mentioned. So we just want to know how you all are feeling at this moment today. And so let me put up that poll real quick so we can um, just kind of get a feel of how people are doing today and at this point of the journey. Getting some good answers in here. Very good. A couple more seconds. Wow. I think your speech did something, Daniel. Hold on. We've got almost everybody participated.
I'm excited too. I'm excited for everyone.
Yeah, so let me just go ahead and share the results here. And it's okay to feel any one of these. But the most popular one is excitement, which is you did your thing, Daniel. People are excited now. So, and that probably also comes from the students as well. You know, you are doing something that is something to be really proud of. And so just remember that. There's a lot of optimism. There's a little bit of anxiety. There's a little bit of uncertainty. But we do want to just let you know that you have a whole team at WSU Global Campus that wants to support you, wants to see you succeed. So don't ever feel embarrassed or like you can't reach out or anything like that. We want to see you succeed and we want to see you make it. So just remember that. And I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing. And then I think Daniel, oh, actually, yeah, so Daniel and I are gonna kind of tag team this one. But as he was mentioning before, um, it's sort of like this bridge, right? The liminal phase is like you're in between. And you're in a powerful moment, in between moment. So no longer where you were, not yet where you're going. So like for WSU, you've confirmed your spot in the program, but classes haven't started quite yet. So you're kind of in between, maybe not sure, maybe a little uncertain, but also really excited. So I also think of like this like bubble in the bridge, right? Like there's this bubble on one side of the bridge with like the anxiety, the unsure, uncertainty. And then on the other side, there's this bubble of potential. And so what we want to do is make sure we decrease the size of the bubble that's the anxiety and uncertainty for you and make sure that we are increasing that size of that bubble that's the potential. Um, and this is where the transformation begins. Is like, okay, you've decided you want to do something, and then you're going to go out and do it. So we just want to support you along the way. Um, and you're already becoming the student, professional, and person that you're working toward by taking these steps. So just remember that. And if you're feeling a little bit uncertain or stretched, like Daniel said this whole time, that's normal. Very, very normal for anybody who's transitioning or starting something new in life. And this is a pretty big change on top of the other things that you guys had mentioned that you're also going through. And so oftentimes, like growth is going to feel uncomfortable, but discomfort doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong. It just means that you're doing something new and you're strengthening that muscle. And I think Daniel has a little quote that he wants to share that's kind of related to that as well.
Yeah, Kari and I were talking about this yesterday, and I was saying this totally reminds me of there's a yoga instructor of mine who always says the strengthening is in the wavering, right? And if we really think about, sometimes we get caught up on perfection. Sometimes we get caught up on the end when so much of it's the in between. And when we're looking to strengthen and we're looking to change and we're stretching, so this is oftentimes like if I'm in like a challenging like posture, I'm trying to hold my balance and I'm shaking. And most of us would be trained to think that like we're not strong enough yet or like we're not there yet when actually we are exactly in the moment we're supposed to be because that's that shaking, that vulnerability, that is when we're actually moving into something new. That is the most profound alchemical experience that we can have when we are changing as human beings in any capacity. So always think about that. Like when you're in school and you're having a tough day, or you got a grade that you didn't expect, or you're struggling with some concept, or you're struggling to be socially connected in a way that maybe we need to, and we have to network, like these things that push us in these uncomfortable spots. That when we are shaking, when we're uncomfortable, but we're doing it, we're standing there doing it, like that is the growth. That is the most beautiful thing that you can participate in. And I want you to know that and that that is seen. So find those spots and go to those spots as uncomfortable as they are, because that's when you're going to find the most growth in your life.
Thank you so much, Daniel. And I think we have actually another chat activity if y'all are up for it. So just really wondering what you're most looking forward to in this journey. Kind of tying it back to yourself now. So go ahead and put your responses in the chat if you feel comfortable, and we can kind of see, what is motivating folks.
And while people are starting to share, I just want to thank everyone for sharing, for opening up. I know that it's a vulnerable place. You don't know any of us, I don't think. So that's just really great that you all are comfortable enough to just be able to share some personal things and where you're at. And I also know how much that helps all of us. It helps your peers to just know that they're not alone. And you know that everyone's kind of got their story and their things that they're coming in with. So thanks for sharing. It does mean a lot.
Mhm. We had some students last time. They were just like, you know, what are you most looking forward to being done? And that's totally valid and that's totally fair. All right, what do we got? Okay, so great answers so far. So looking forward to learning something new and stretching my academic muscles again. Oh, love it. I'm excited about my major. I love people and I work with youth at my job right now, which I love. I can't wait to apply what I learned to what I'm doing right now. That's awesome. So you're already kind of doing it, but you're just like learning more and going deeper. That's great. Being able to enter a new department in my career after graduation, super important. I love that for you. In order to build self-esteem, you must do esteemable acts. Wow. That is great. I feel like where did that come from? I need to know. That's so good. Love learning, genuinely excited for the material. Yes, yes. Lifelong learner here as well, so totally understand that. Finishing something I started a long time ago. Good for you. You're getting it done. Finally, being able to study the field I'm passionate about versus what career will be financially stable by maybe not the first choice. Yeah, that's totally fair. It's a hard balance between like passion and like what's going to make the most money. So I know that's something that's pretty difficult to discern sometimes. I'm excited to keep working towards my future career. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everybody. I know you all have great reasons for your why. And so whenever you're feeling in doubt or maybe the bridge starts shaking, it's just good to always revisit that why. Why are you here? Why did you start? Why did you apply? And just keep that in the back of your mind. A couple more responses are coming in. So people are talking about move into more management roles and have the academic knowledge beyond the job training I've gotten. Yes, super important. My family is what motivates me. I want to be a role model for my children, and I'm happy to join the WSU community. That's so cool. They're gonna be so excited that their parent is a Coug. I just know it. I came from a long background of addiction. Okay, I dropped out of school after sixth grade, so I'm excited to leave that behind. This is the biggest move in my life. That's so cool. Congratulations. I'm just really proud of you. A lot of great answers. Thanks everybody for being so vulnerable and just willing to share and being so open. So appreciated. All right. Just gonna jump into some more strategies here. So a lot of people have shared kind of, their background, what's motivating them, and now we're gonna get into some tips about how to navigate this liminal phase and kind of how to combat it, how to be ahead of the game here. The first thing that I would recommend is acknowledging the shift. So a lot of you are doing that right now in the chat, and it's okay to feel off balance. Starting something new takes courage and it takes dedication. And so you all are doing that and you're being honest about the shift. So that's a great first step. Creating structure, so small routines like study times or morning rituals to help build focus and stability can really help, especially in an online program. Another thing I would recommend is to identify your constants. So lean on your steady supports. Those can be people, those can be pets, those can be habits or values. I always think of like my mom's dog because like I can have the worst day. Like I can do so many things wrong during the day, but like when I go see my mom's dog, he's just always wagging his tail. He's always happy to see me. He didn't care about what I did during the day. So that would be like a constant for me. So if there's something or somebody or anything that you can identify that's going to stay the same while things are changing around you, I think it's a good thing. Staying connected, so reaching out to your peers, your advisors, and also joining Global Connections events. So we have a Global Connections team who puts on a lot of really fun events. So they do anything from like meditation to mindfulness to playing Jeopardy or bingo. And there's just like or like even strength training. They have different things that you can do to get involved, and you actually earn points anytime you attend a session. So it's a good way to, and the points you can like build them up to get swag. So you can get like a WSU sweatshirt or whatever if you attend enough events and you can trade. But it's just a good way to like stay connected if you're online. And those opportunities are available to you. And making sure you stay in contact with your advisors because those are the folks that are going to be your cheerleaders throughout the whole program that you're here. You're going to check in with them every semester for registration, and they want you to succeed as well. So have a good relationship with your advisors, guys. Reflect often. So a lot of students will use journaling or voice notes. OneNote is a great tool where you can just like, if you're a typer, you can type out your notes, and then there's actually an option where you can record your voice. So like, um, we've had students who, took voice notes at the beginning of a class and they're like, I don't understand this. This is really hard. And then as they get through it, they can see the progress as they go along, and they're like, oh yeah, that was super easy. Like once they're looking back at it. So it's just a good way to kind of see how you're doing and track your growth. And I think we actually have another engagement activity.
We do. And what we're hoping for is that you all might be able to be teachers here in and of yourself. So, curious from all of you, what is one habit that you want to strengthen or build before your classes begin? So, out of everything that Karianna is sharing with you, which is just such really good, helpful tips, is there one thing that you can just say, you know what, I'm going to commit to this. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to focus on this. One thing you're going to push yourself in. So maybe it's just like your skill that you already have, or maybe it's the area where you're like, you know what, I could totally stand to be better at this. So whatever it is, we'd love to kind of hear what it is that you all are thinking about and what you're willing to push yourself towards.
Getting some good responses here. We have about half of the people that have voted on the poll. Getting a little closer. Okay, there is a clear winner though of what people want to do, so I'm excited to share that with y'all.
It's a good one too. It's a very, very good one.
It's a good one.
Mhm.
All right. I'm gonna go ahead and share. We have almost everybody participating. So the number one thing is to create structure, which can be very, very difficult when you have, a family or other commitments that you have in your life other than school. But we have, your advisor can help give you tips. We're gonna have some sessions in the week of welcome to kind of have time management, and there's lots of resources online for that as well. So creating structure, if you have any questions, you can always reach out or get recommendations, but that's a really good one. Staying connected was the next highest one, which is also very important, especially in an online program. And I'm the type of person that like I hang out with my family a lot, and so they're kind of like my people that I want to stay connected with. And if you're some people are the opposite. They're like, I just want to be with my friends or I just need my advisor. As long as you know who to contact when you're feeling like you need that support, that's great. And then identifying your constants, building a method for constant reflection. And then there was something else, and if maybe if you have that suggestion, maybe you want to share that in the chat with us so that we can go over that as well. But thank you so much, everybody, for voting on this poll and just letting us know kind of what your goals are in this on that poll. Okay, so then we have some more tips for you, and these ones are specific to online learning. And so we just thought it would be helpful because it can be the case that some of you may have never taken online classes before. Maybe you have an extensive history of online classes. Maybe you're somewhere in between, but just always a good refresher to kind of talk about these things here. So the first thing I would recommend is to set up a dedicated study space. And so let's see. For me, I was like, you can kind of make this your own. You kind of have to tailor it to, the space that you have in your house. But I had to have a room where it's like I know that I can focus. I know I can close the door. I know I can just have quiet time, and I know I'm going to be able to focus in that space. Some people go to Starbucks and or the library and get stuff done, so it's really up to how you work best. A lot of people like to use a planner or a calendar. So whether you're like a write it down, highlighter, like make cute little notes person, or if you're like a digital person that likes to use a digital calendar and have like automatic reminders sent to you, either way, it's a great idea. You can put, deadlines or when tests are going to be, or anything that you want to remind yourself of, and use that calendar. And then chunking big tasks. So a student can break up, a research paper into steps. So you can research, outline, draft, revise, or like even chunking your days so that you have a couple of hours dedicated to studying for a certain topic or working on a specific assignment. Either way, chunking is a great strategy to kind of make sure you have dedicated time for that assignment. And then planning your time. So typically for each class that you enroll in, it's about 10 to 12 hours per week per 16 week course. So just be aware of that and plan for that when you are thinking about planning out your week and allotting enough time for studying and classwork. Another good example or another good tip is to take breaks and move your body. So some students just like to go straight through like the 2 hour block that they have and just get through it. But a lot of students do like to take, 5 or 10 minute breaks in between to just stretch, take a second to refocus. And it actually stimulates your brain a little bit better if you do get up, move around a little bit, get some water. It can help a little bit. And then rewarding yourself after finishing an assignment. So maybe you studied for a big test for a few hours, or maybe you submitted a quiz, or maybe you submitted a paper. Just think about rewarding yourself for getting those things done. Maybe it's like you go and do a workout class, or maybe you reward yourself with like a small little coffee or something like that. But just a good idea to put those good things back in your brain and say you did a good job. And then engaging in class discussions and virtual events. And so a lot of our students, or a lot of the classes will have discussion board postings as a part of the class. So it's always a good idea to actually put in what you want to get out of that discussion board. So like if you respond to a student, oh, that's cool, and don't really put a lot of thought into it, you're probably not going to get a ton out of that discussion. But if you're more engaged and you actually have a thoughtful response, it can be a lot more fulfilling for your class. And then you can actually explore your learning platform early. So Canvas is going to be what you guys are using. So we actually have a site where you can practice that. If you ever need or want to look at that, you can always email me and I can get you that link. And then also engaging with your faculty or instructor is always a good idea. Like we've been saying, your faculty, everybody here at WSU wants you to succeed. So always talk to them before something becomes a big problem, and they're willing to work with you. But if you talk to them after it's a big problem, it can be a lot harder. So just try to maintain that relationship. And then just deciding how you show up. So for your advising appointments, you can have your camera on, and it's just easier when people can kind of see you and make that relationship, like connecting your face with your name. And like we talked about, the discussion board posts, you can put more effort into those and kind of decide how you show up and what you want to get out of it is kind of what you put in. So that would be my recommendation there. All right. And I think we actually have one more here. And these are kind of just more general online learning tips. So if you do ever feel stuck, don't be afraid to ask. Everybody wants you to succeed, and we never want you to feel stuck. And there's tons of people who will want to help you. So just reach out. Always advocate for yourself as well. It is a little bit harder when you're online because your instructor can't really like see your body language. And so they might not know if you're having a hard day or if you're going through something. And so just being honest and, talking to people around you and just letting them know what's going on, like I said, is always a great idea. Progress over perfection. So a lot of, I feel like I try to be so perfect sometimes that it just takes too long to try and get something out. But sometimes you just need to submit the assignment, even if it's not perfect. And even if it's 1% better every day, you're still making progress. So just remembering that piece as well. And practicing self-compassion. Somebody said something about this earlier. And just remembering how much you are going through and how much you are sacrificing to get this degree done, and treating yourself with compassion and treating yourself like how you would treat your friends um, is very important. And kind of replacing that negative self-talk with positive can be a good idea too. And then finally, like you're in college, so just remember to have fun and allow yourself to laugh. Because you're in college and you can make your assignments related to things that you're interested in and passionate about. And, having that, being jovial about your college degree, I think you'll get so much more out of it. So, um, thank you for that. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. But I think we have a chat activity, as well from Daniel.
We do. So you can throw this answer in the chat, and it's really kind of asking you, open question right now. What strategies have worked for you in the past, especially if you've taken any online courses? A couple of years ago, we would say that, and maybe less than 50% of students have taken online courses. The pandemic really has changed a lot of that. But it kind of depends. So there might be some of you that have never done that before, some of you that have had significant background on it. Some folks now have finished all of high school online or completed an entire degree at this point. So if you've had any experience for strategy as far as what you use to be successful with online courses, or if you haven't taken online, just in general, throw those in the chat because that always helps other people to kind of see, to relate, to have an idea, to kind of support what they do. So it'd be really helpful for us to know that from you if you don't mind sharing.
We were just talking about how music and getting stuff done before this session started, and a lot of folks like to have the lo-fi music or instrumentals going, which is great. Never attended online education. Make study lunches. Ooh, that's a good idea. Planning my week out the week before helped me stay ahead. This gave me a mental day or wait. This gave me a safety net in case I needed a mental day or had an event. A physical planner worked best for me. Okay, so you're the one that you like the highlighter and the writing the notes. That's awesome. Started an 18-page paper the day it was due, so do the opposite of that. That's a good one. I love it. Okay. There's some great answers that are coming in. And I know I want to be respectful of people's time. I know the invite said about an hour, and maybe a little bit more if there's more questions. So if y'all need to jump, definitely feel free to. Everything is going to be recorded, but we're going to breeze through a couple more slides here, and stay if you can. But if you have to jump, we understand too. So just let us know. But we're going to actually move on to the next slide here. And this is basically, we've already talked about this, so you're not alone in this journey. everybody kind of goes through this phase. And so if you ever need help, you can always reach out to me. I have my email there. You can call, you can text, you can book an appointment with me, anything that you need. I want to make sure that you feel comfortable starting your journey here at WSU Global. All right. And Daniel, did you want to talk a little bit about this slide here?
Yeah, absolutely. So really, we're just at this point wanting to just cheerlead you on. We really want to just take the time for you all to feel proud of yourselves in this moment and where you're at and making this decision and taking that step forward. And also knowing that that gets really uncomfortable sometimes as soon as you do that. And then there's a lot of unknowns, you know? I mean, university, college life, there's a lot of layers to it. There's a lot of like, if you haven't gone through this before, there's so many departments. There's like, I got to do this, I got to register, I got to get my books, I got to talk to these professors. There's different things in online world that I have to know about. There's just so many parts of that, but it's all doable. It really is. And so, just kind of taking a step back, knowing that these things are going to be challenging and that challenge is important, it's going to make you grow, that you can take these things step by step, right? And that as you do that, you start to build your own resiliency. You start to understand that formula even more. So even if you've done it past in your life, this gives you a new opportunity, a new skill set. There's probably folks that are watching you. You might have kids of your own that are watching you go through this, or a partner, or family members, or friends, folks that really want to see you succeed and are looking up to you for this. One thing I know I said I was going to mention and I didn't, and I think it's a really important term I want you to all to carry with you. So if you don't know this term, I want you to write it down and I want you to think about it a lot, but it's self-efficacy, right? And self-efficacy is when we understand that the motion that we put into our life has direct repercussions and results for what we want. Self-efficacy. And we only learn self-efficacy by doing more and more and more and getting the results that we want. And this is that moment in your life to really test that out. To say, I want this goal, which is going to be 2, 4 years away sometimes. I'm going to have to do all these things. I'm going to have to achieve all these different accomplishments. I'm going to have to take these classes that are hard. I'm going to have endurance for this. I'm going to have it compete with things in my life. That self-efficacy is so important, and it's what you are all going to be building a huge cache of that for yourselves right now. And then you're going to be able to teach that to the people in your life that you love and care about, that you want them to succeed. So this is so much more than what you learn in the textbooks. This is so much more than a degree that is going to have your name on it in just a couple of years. It is life-changing. It is absolutely life-changing. And so we just want to help you all not just say, hey, here's what you can do to be a successful student. Here's how you do it. Like that is important. And it's so important that you know that we have that here at Global Campus for you. But we also want to tell you that we understand why all that is important, why we are providing all that for you, because we really do want you to succeed because we know how significant that this win in your life is. We understand that. So we just want to help you know that about yourself and remind you of that. And we also want you to see that recognized in us and what we're providing you. And so just kind of reminding you of different things that can help you along the way to do that. Karianna is an amazing resource, really genuine human being who really cares about your success, totally here to help support you. So don't hesitate at all to reach out and ask for help anytime you think you need it or aren't sure if you need it or not. And then we're going to also connect you to more folks as you get more into the process and to your advisors and to your instructors. There's going to be so much help for you. So just, take it easy, celebrate the small wins, be aware of how big this is, and also know that it's so achievable and you've got so much help behind you. But really, really, so happy that people have come today to be part of this, to listen, to share, to connect. And I hope to see your names and your faces as we move on within the community, because this is definitely a community here, and we're really excited that you're all part of it and excited to see what you're going to do with it.
And I love that. And I think we're actually going to wrap it up here. I do have some resources for you all, and we can stay afterwards for any questions that you might have, that are individual questions that you want to ask, maybe about your academic journey or orientation or anything like that. But I just want to be cognizant of people's time. And so the last poll that I would want to just get to know from you all is, after the session, how are you feeling now? And the goal of this session was to kind of be, as Daniel said, we are here to cheerlead you through this and make you feel a little bit more comfortable. Um, but definitely want to make sure that you all have the tools and you know who to contact if you do have questions. All right. And I think everybody, for the most part, is getting to answering. Okay, so we'll go ahead and share the results here. So a lot of people said they feel a lot more confident, which is great. That was the goal of the session. And some people are still nervous, but they're ready, which is totally normal. And just as long as you know who to contact, if you do have questions, I think that's totally normal and that's great. And a lot of people are excited. Nobody said that they need help, but they have the resources on who to contact to with their questions. But if that is the case, just know that we are here for you anytime. And we're excited that you are a Coug. And I'm going to just go ahead and stop sharing. We'll get to the last slide here. Um, yeah, and we are going to be sending out a follow-up email with all of these resources. So just know that that's coming to you. We'll send out the recording as well with the slide deck. And you can always contact me if you have questions about the presentation or anything else. All right. Thank you so much for attending, everybody. If anyone has questions, feel free to stay on. We can talk to you about your questions. But if not, I hope you have a great rest of your night, and thank you so much for coming. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Nice to meet you all, and best of luck.
Thanks for coming, guys.